Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. We all make mistakes at times. Sometimes more often, sometimes not that often. But what happens when we make mistakes often and on the same issue, which is confusing people and names constantly? What do we have here? I have two clips in which President Biden, during some questions that he was allowed to answer, he makes two confusions. One, he confuses President Trump with Kamala Harris, or vice versa, and then Zelensky with Putin. Now, I understand he's old, but if he would be our grandparent or something like that, a person just forgetting stuff, it's all right. But he is the president of the free world. You cannot have that. You cannot confuse your wife with your sister, or I don't know, your mom with your girlfriend, or your daughter with your girlfriend, or something like that. And sometimes it happens, but when it becomes a pattern, that means some neurons over there don't make contact as they should make contact. As I said, if there would be an old guy in a nursing home or whatever, he's walking his dog or planting his plants, it would be different. He is the president of the free world. And that raises the question about the electorate, about the people who voted for this guy 4 years ago. Remember, he was the same. He was the same. Maybe a little bit accelerated his lack of since then. But still, we knew it was obvious by watching him. All right? Empirical observation. You don't have to go and, you could see it. So how come some people voted for him? Is it because they didn't notice it? They didn't understand it? They lived in denial? Or they knew all that and say, you know what, kid, we're going to have it because I have a personal interest in this. And screw America and everybody else. Well, maybe there's some other options, but I think these three should be or are the main ones. So let's start with the first video, which comes from Sputnik. And then the president of the free world confuses Donald Trump with his vice president, Kamala Harris. Let's get going.
What concerns do you have about Vice President Harris's ability to beat Donald Trump if she were at the top of the ticket?
Look, I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president, but I think she was not qualified to be president. So let's start there.
All right, so that's the first thing that he said. So we have another video here where we have Biden confusing Zelensky, who's going to introduce Zelensky as President Putin. Now, this is not normal. This is not normal. I know these guys do a damage control now in the media. Some groups make a damage control for Biden. Some groups are calling it as it is now that it makes sense. Why? They need someone else to try her hand or his hand as a presidency. And Biden, yes, there's conflicting groups in the any kind of group, unless you have the which is impossible. So I would say, let's go to this video.
Stepped up when it counted to stand with Ukraine. I've said before, Russia will not prevail in this war. Ukraine will prevail in this war. And we'll stand with them every single step of the way. That's what the compact says, loudly and clearly. And now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin.
There you have him. Now, what he did after this, he made a little joke, and he said, President Putin, President Zelensky. He was reading, all right, from the teleprompter, and he still said Putin. Now, if you think that's normal, then I think you participate in, I would say, adult abuse, and not that kind of adult, as they call it nowadays, adult. No, not that kind of adult, senior abuse, and that's not normal. And you also, the same thing, right? You endanger our country. If he's gone, you know who are the perpetrators, the suspects here, are the guys surrounding him. Jill Biden and others who know exactly at what time this guy is. That is way, how do you call it, expired a long time ago. And they still keeping there. Don't you understand that the mass media is playing with us? It's playing now they start raising the question after the debate. We saw that a long time ago, my friends. So these are two examples, but it became a pattern that it's almost 3 years, almost 4 years in the making. 4 years continuously, shaking hand, diving from balls like a soccer goalie and so on, looking around lost, mumbling, scrambling, bumbling, mixing numbers, billions for millions and all that, names for names, persons for persons. I wouldn't want this person to be a dog catcher in a village in Montana, if you ask me. And even if you didn't, I will still say it. Because that's not something safe. You understand that the people participating in that, I would almost say they're criminal. Almost say. Why? He is the so-called, if he is, as they say, in control, he's not there. So if you allow this guy to be in control, and obviously he lacks some connections, so that endangers his cognitive ability to function, then you are what? If he's in control. But if he's not in control, again you're guilty. What do you mean he's not in control? If he's not in control, that's what you do. You remove him. You remove him and put that imbecile vice president in his place. And then she would keep going further than this guy probably. Because remember, she doesn't have this problem. She has a problem of reaching a very low ceiling in her cognitive abilities. Biden is not. It's a little bit higher, Biden. But because I think of an illness, I don't know what it is, Alzheimer, Parkinson, now they try to make that as being a fact and all that. Even if that, so he was, to begin with, higher than her. But not much higher, and that's not a good higher. It's like somewhere here. So if he's over there with his mental, because of bzz, she's lower, even with all her mental cognitive function, or rather like, that's how I see it. And this is supposedly what we have to vote for. Remember, these guys, both of them, and other presidents and vice presidents, should not have come close to a dog catcher position. Not close. So who is actually leading this country? Because obviously this guy is not. And he said, well, if Putin calls me, I'm ready. You're not. You're not, because on the line is going to be your advisors, the guys in charge, and Putin's guys. Putin will freely speak. I saw him freely speak questions and don't make these kind of mistakes. And this guy is, as we see. And why am I making this video? Not because I want to point out that this guy is in a bad shape. I think this is a crime in progress. Has been for at least 4 years. At least. Why? You don't get this guy to even run. You got a semi-dead person. What the hell are you doing? That's a crime. The product is filthy and not up to the standards you say they are, or the position the president's position is, and you still promote it. What does that make you? A big liar? Well, he invented the big lie, and he was not that guy. Read his book and you find out exactly who are the inventors of the free lie. Big lie, free lie. Well, my friends, here it is. Thank you very much for being with me again today. It will continue like this. Why? Because you have a alternative bureaucracy, let's put it this way, that is political. And when you have the bureaucracy political and bureaucracy is not elected, then we got a big problem. And the media cooperates with that. Why? Because the funding, the finances come from the same sources. They are in charge. Not Biden, not Kamala Harris, not those guys in the advisors. No, because they come and go as they say. And they can be removed with what? With a judge signed order, or with this. So who has that? All right, thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.